Welcome to the 15th issue of the Blue Dot to celebrate International Mother Earth Day. We call the magazine the Blue Dot intentionally because that is what our home is, a tiny blue dot in the cosmos of the universe. It's fragile, it's sensitive to the way we behave towards it. And this is why we must learn how to understand it, respect it, and be compassionate towards it. I now realize, after 30 years being in this field, that declarations, resolutions, decisions by governments really have very little effect. These are all necessary, so don't get me wrong. We need to do those. But what we have not done, we have ignored, is that emotional connect that we must make with nature. We now know from the science, especially from the neurosciences, that our behavior is not just a function of the knowledge that we have, that the knowledge we have acquired. It is a combination of that plus the emotions. And emotions play such a big role. This issue of the Blue Dot, therefore, takes a very different perspective from what you would expect when it's on Mother Earth Day. We have really brought in some of the world's most renowned experts from our traditional disciplines like economics, for sure, which is important, but also from our indigenous communities who talk a lot about that emotional connect with nature. So important, that emotional connect. It's not about just knowing about that emotional connect, but it's about living that emotional connect. And that's what we must do with our younger generation. Education is so important. And this Blue Dot makes that point. It really is looking at how we have to radicalize and change our education. When we learn maths, we should not learn maths in its abstract sense. We should learn about maths and how it explains our relationship with nature. That beautiful emotional connect with nature. The same with science, the same with history. And that's the challenge that we must make. I leave you with a quote from Gandhi. And it's a beautiful quote that we should reflect. Because reflection is so important in our training of our brains, training of our mind, to be mindful, to be empathetic, and to be compassionate. Gandhi says that the things that we are doing to our forests, and I would add to other sentient living beings, it's a reflection in the mirror of what we are doing to ourselves and to the others. So let's be kind to ourselves, kind to others, and kind to Mother Nature. I wish you all a kind International Mother Earth Day. As much as you celebrate Mother's Day, celebrate this with that much of love and compassion.
It is important to live in harmony with nature simply because this is the vision of our convention by 2050 vision, living in harmony with nature. And it's a long-term vision. But then we will need to go through different stages to be able to reach that 2050 living in harmony with nature. Not surprising, when this vision was adopted, it was 2010 with the strategic plan 2011-2020, with the Aichi biodiversity targets, which have ended. Now we are in the process of developing the post-2020 global biodiversity framework with milestones which will enable us to review progress by 2030 and review progress 2040, and we hope by 2050 we will indeed be in a world where both humans and planet will be living in harmony with nature. So we need to recognize that nature is part of us. Even before we were born, we were all part of nature. We need also to recognize that healthier biodiversity is the healthier planet, and as well as that will be the healthier human beings, which we all want to be. So literally, nothing less than future of life on Earth is at stake. Studies like the EPBS Global Biodiversity Assessment and the 5th Global Biodiversity Outlook are all clear that business as usual is no longer an option. Collectively, we need to address both the direct and the indirect drivers of biodiversity loss. And we also need to make really the fundamental changes or transformative changes in the way we human beings interact with nature, because human beings are the worst, if I may use that word, maybe myself being a human being, we are the worst contributors to the loss of biodiversity in view of our own activities on nature, which is so unsustainable, driving biodiversity to an unprecedented rate of loss in the history of humankind. So in line with all this, and in line with the objectives of the International Mother Earth Day, this year's slogan of our own International Day of Biological Diversity, which is celebrated every year on 22nd May, is basically, the theme will be Building a Shared Future for All Life. It reflects the fact that healthy ecosystems, biodiversity are the foundation upon which we can all build the sustainable future for all. It also conveys the message or the idea that human life are intrinsically connected to the life on Earth. And without then biodiversity, then there's no life on Earth. Why are we saying so? Because biodiversity is a foundation of life. It gives us the food we eat, it gives us the air we breathe, the water we drink and use for cooking and others. It stores and sequences carbon emissions or support climate change adaptation, mitigation. I mean, when you look at all this, and if they are missing, then there's no life, and there will be no life living in harmony by 2050. Uniqueness of the blue dot on human and nature. I think one will be looking at the interdisciplinary approach of this issue of the blue dot, because together with its innovative and thoughtful perspectives and the inspiring contributors have been or have the potential to reach out to the educators and teachers worldwide, and thereby creating that positive impact on the way current and future generations connect with the living world. So Blue Dot is a tool for creating that awareness, reaching out beyond educators, beyond researchers, to really demonstrate that biodiversity is the foundation of life, and without it, then the human and nature connection we are talking about will not exist. I think I will encourage everybody to read this issue, because the Blue Dot is not just easy to read, it is practical. It's an application-based magazine. It tackles the most pressing issue related to climate change and biodiversity loss in a graphical manner, as well as it features opinions from diverse range of contributors from around the world, even including the young change makers. So, since we are talking of the connection between human and nature, reading this magazine will be able to demonstrate that, and to also be able, every reader to see if that connection lacks, then there will be no life on Earth. Accordingly, therefore, I believe it will be very informative, particularly for the young people, but also educators, teachers, practitioners around the world to download and read the Blue Dot issue on humans and nature, because that's where our life is.